Hey guys, this is Dr. Callahan for week 5 Thursday for Algebra 2, semester 2. Pause the video and answer the following 3 questions for your warm-up. I hope you're having a great day. Okay. I also saw this, I thought was really funny, is I have like 4 kids and my oldest is 10, and I'm like, at one point they're going to eventually stop wanting to be with me and hang out with me. And I saw this on social media of this Australian couple where the mom wants to take the kids to vacation and the kids are like, no, I'm not going on vacation. So I just want to stay home with my Wi-Fi and go on social media. And so the mom's like, okay, well, if that is your attitude, that's fine. But I'm going to go on vacation and I'm going to take the Wi-Fi router with me when I go. And so she took the Wi-Fi router, they went to the beach, and she took a picture of the Wi-Fi router as if it's her child, which I thought was pretty clever. I'm like, yeah, you stay home, but there's no Wi-Fi for you. And then she took it to lunch, and she's pushing the Wi-Fi router on a swing. And they went to the carnival and won some prizes and then had a beer, so I thought that was pretty funny and pretty cute. So anyways, okay, let's go ahead and move on to today's stuff. So this is week 5. Our topic is on graphing rational functions. Every Wednesday, I'm going to give you guys in class, which was yesterday, to finish your Math Excel quiz and then also your Math Excel homework. Now, they're not due until Sunday by 11 p.m., but I'll generally give you all of Wednesdays to work on that. So that was yesterday. So you should have had the quiz completed already. Your grades are updated every single Wednesday, and they're always on IC or on Teams. So just so you guys know. If you need some additional assistance in raising your grade, please come see me after class, and I'll have a little chit chat with you or after school. If you're absent, make sure you guys go to the QR code for Algebra 2. Every single lesson is videotaped. The tutoring schedule is on the bottom right there as well, so you guys have that. But this week, you guys have your week 5, your homework, which is right here, and then your assessment, which is your quiz, right there. So both of those are due by Sunday. I don't give you guys tests in class. The only assessment you have is on Math Excel. So make sure you guys are doing that because that's majority of your grades. Okay. So today we are on week 5 Thursday, and we're going to be graphing rational functions and transformation. And this will be our day 2 of doing this. So you're going to need the following. You need my handout. You also need a calculator and an iPad if you don't have your cell phone with you. Oh, and then you also need to grab one of the templates here. I have a snowman, a leaf, or a snowflake. So come on up, grab 1, 2, and then your TI-84 calculator. So 3 things, and then also the iPad if you need it. All right, so you guys should have the handout that looks like this. This is the first page. And as you guys can see, we're going to do some graphing, of course. And then we're just going to start off with the first page right there. I'm going to start off on number 1. So for number 1, it says write a rational function whose graph resembles a given graph. Include your thought process, all asymptote and y-intercept. So yesterday I gave you, or 2 days ago, actually on Tuesday, remember you guys have the equation where it's like y is equal to, and then on top it was like a, oh, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Hold on, it's like something. I can't remember. Hold on. All right, so here's your formula. Your K is your horizontal asymptote, your H is your vertical asymptote. And so looking at this right here, where do you think your vertical asymptote is going to be? You're just going to draw a line. It's going to be wherever those graphs are getting really close to, but they're not really touching, okay? And it looks to me, that looks at x equals 2. That is going to be your vertical asymptote. And I was going to put VA for vertical asymptote, okay? Then you're going to use your pen and look for your horizontal asymptote. And it looks like it's this line in blue right there. And it looks like it is at 2. So y equals 2 is your horizontal asymptote. So once you identify that, we're going to take the x and the y, and we're going to plug it back into this equation. So you could do something like g of x is equal to A, which I don't know what A is necessarily going to be, over X minus H. Your H is your vertical asymptote, so X minus 2, not plus, but, or I'm sorry, it is plus 2. Another thing that you should realize is the X and Y intercept. So what's giving you here is, do you see the point right there where your line crosses that? That is X, Y. When X is at 1, 2, and 3, your Y is at 0. So that is going to be your X-intercept, okay? So then for me to find my A right here, if my Y is at 0, so when this is at 0, 0 equals A over, your X is at 3. So that's 3 minus 2 plus 2. So then I'm going to do 3 minus 2 is just going to be a 1, right? So then let's solve for A. That's my goal. Subtract the 2 on both sides. I have a -2 equals A over 1. Well, what's A divided by 1? It's just A. So what does your A equal? -2. And now that I have A equals -2, I can go back up here, replace that with a -2. All right, let's try the next one. Here we go. For number 2, if you take a look at this, it looks like your horizontal asymptote is going to be like right there at -1. That's kind of what it looks like to me. So Y equals -1 is your horizontal asymptote. Then your vertical asymptote, and I think you might actually have 2 here, is going to be at -1 and +1. So X equals -1, X equals +1. That's your vertical asymptote. And I'm just gonna have you guys identify it. That's good enough for me. Yeah. All right, for number 3, let's go ahead and identify this. You have your horizontal asymptote. It looks like it's at 0. It's right there. And then you look like you have your vertical asymptote right there. So your horizontal asymptote is X is equal to 2. I'm sorry, Y is equal to 0. And your vertical asymptote is X is equal to 2. And so then when I look at this and I go, okay, let's go ahead and try to put this into my equation. My equation is going to be g of x is equal to a, so there's an a on top, x minus the vertical asymptote. So my vertical asymptote is x equals 2. So x minus 2 plus k, which is your horizontal asymptote, so plus 0. Okay, that's my equation so far. Then I'm going to take a look to see where my intercept is. And look, that's where my graph is hitting. The location of this is going to be at 0, -1, x equals 0, y equals -1. So I'm going to use this information to plug it in here. So when y equals -1, a over x minus 2 is a 0 minus 2. And I don't need to put the plus 0 because it's just not going to be there. -1 equals a, 0 minus 2 is a -2. And then how do I get rid of the division? I'm going to multiply that -2 on both sides. So a is equal to a +2. So then I'm going to go back to my original equation right here, rewrite it. So it's g of x is equal to +2 over x minus 2. And there's my equation. So essentially, you're just kind of working backwards. All right. So for number 5, I'm going to have you guys go ahead and answer yourself, true or false. If the graph of a rational function has a vertical asymptote at x equals 5, is it possible to sketch the graph without lifting your pencil from your paper? And explain. So go ahead and answer that question. If you're still here with your calculators or your cell phone out, you might want to have your notes out as well. It's great that you're in my class and you get 55% for attending, but you can't pass with a 55%. So just keep that in mind. So your guided notes are due. So that's part of your grade. All right, let's go on to number 6, you guys. So you're gonna need your calculator for this one. All right, so for this one, you have a really ugly polynomial. We're gonna have to go ahead and graph this. So let's start off with the vertical asymptote, okay? To find the vertical asymptote, you always set the denominator equal to 0. So let's do that. So set denominator equal to 0, and you're gonna solve for x, okay? So when we do that, I'm gonna have x squared minus 1 equal to 0. If you add 1 on both sides, you have x squared equals a +1. And then how do you get rid of a square? You will have to square root both sides. So then x equals plus or minus 1. And that's your vertical asymptote. So if x equals positive and -1, I'm going to put a dot here and a dot here. And then just draw my vertical asymptote. So those are the 2 lines that my graph cannot touch. And then when it comes to your horizontal asymptote, there are 3 rules to your horizontal asymptote, and I want you guys to write this part down, okay? So the first rule is that if you have a x squared over x to the 4th, where do you see like the power of your denominator is smaller than the power of your, or excuse me, I have this backward. The power of your numerator is smaller than the power of your denominator. So n is less than d. If that's the case, y is just equal to 0. And it's always going to be like that, okay? Because 2 is smaller than 4. That's the first one. The second one is we have x to the 4th over x squared, where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And if it's bigger than the denominator, then your y is dne, which does not exist. And then the third one is if you have something like 4 over 2 x to the third, x to the third, where you have the numerator equals the denominator. And then in which case you just use the number in front. And when I say front, I'm talking about these two numbers right here. And that's just going to be 4 divided by 2, which is just 2. And those are your 3 rules. So then let's take a look at this. When I take a look at this up here, the power is a 4 and a power is a 2. Do you guys see that? So 4 is your numerator, 2 is your denominator. And I don't know about you, but the numerator is bigger than the denominator, right? So in which case, if the numerator is bigger, then what is that? Y equals DNE. It does not exist, so there is none. Next one I want to find is going to be my x-intercept, okay? So your x-intercept is when y equals 0, what is your x number going to be? Well, what is your x value? So if y equals 0, I'm going to have 0 is equal to this entire thing, x to the 4th plus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 1 over x squared minus 1. If I multiply both sides by x squared minus 1, I still get 0 is equal to x to the 4th plus 3x squared plus 2x squared plus 1. And to find my x-intercept, what I can do is I can go ahead and try to graph that and figure it out where it intercepts. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my calculator. So you guys grab your calculator as well. And we're gonna graph that x to the 4th problem. All right, so here is my calculator. I'm gonna make sure I try to share this on Zoom so other people can see it as well. All right, so y equals, and we're gonna go ahead and graph that. And so I'll just go ahead and clear that out. So y is equal to x to the 4th, use your little cursor, and then plus 3x to the 3rd, make sure you move your little cursor down with the right button, plus 2x squared plus 1 graph. Oh, so it's actually not touching any of the x-axis at all. Do you see that? Like it doesn't even touch it. So then what that means is it's just not there. We're just gonna put an empty set right there. It's not there, okay? Now let's take a look. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is when x equals 0, what is the y equal to, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the original equation right here. So if x equals 0, that's gone. That's gone, that's gone, that's gone. And then y is just equal to a 1 over -1, which is a -1. So your y-intercept is when x is 0, it's -1. So your graph is going to hit that point. So I'm going to go back to my graph over here at 0, -1, right there. I kind of have a feeling that my graph is going to look something like this, where it's just going to go down like that, like a sad face parabola. And maybe on top, it's going to widen on the right side and the left side, but I don't know for a fact. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to graphing again. So go to y equals, okay? Right here, we're going to graph the entire thing just to see what it looks like. So I'm not going to delete that because I want to keep it. So I'm going to hit Second, delete, which is the insert button. You're gonna put a parenthesis right there. Do you see that? So second, delete, and then you use your little red button right here to move your cursor over to the right. Second, delete, so you're gonna insert a parenthesis right there. Then click the division button, open parenthesis, and we're gonna do x squared minus 1, close parenthesis, and graph it. And so this is your graph. Does it hit at 0, -1? Yes, it does. And then you're just gonna simply draw your graph. Over here on the side like that. And that's it. All right, so then I'm gonna go over to the back of this. So flip your paper over to the back. We're done with the first one. Number 7. I want you guys to answer this. Write a convincing statement discussing whether every rational function has a vertical asymptote. Give at least one example to support your statement. So take about like a minute or so and think about that question. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's as long as you do it, you just get the points for it. And you will be turning this paper in. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and skip number 8 and number 9. We're gonna jump over to number 10, you guys, and this will be our last example. And then after this, I have something else for you guys to work on. So looking at this right here, vertical asymptote and horizontal asymptote. Okay, so I already go over the 3 rules with you guys. So the 3 rules was that for the horizontal asymptote, you just look at the 3 rules. And remember, you look at the biggest exponent. So the biggest one here is 1 or 3. Smallest exponent on the bottom is 1. So your numerator, you have a degree of 3. Your denominator, it's a degree of 1. So if that's the case, your numerator is bigger than the denominator. And remember, if your numerator is bigger than the denominator, your horizontal asymptote does not exist. So there's no horizontal asymptote. Now let's take a look at the vertical asymptote. Your vertical asymptote, you just take the denominator, set it equal to 0. So if I set it equal to 0, x equals 3. So I'm just going 1, 2, 3 right here, and then I'm going to draw my vertical asymptote. Okay, now let's find our x-intercept and y-intercept. So when you're looking for the x-intercept, you're asking yourself, y equals 0. What does x equal to? So looking at this part right here, if I have y equals 0, I will have x to the third minus 3x squared minus x plus 3 over x minus 3. But then if I multiply x minus 3 on both sides, x minus 3 is just done. So I need to figure out what does x equal to. Well, let's go ahead and graph this. Let's graph this and see if it actually gives me anything. So with your calculator, I'm going to go over here. Go to y equals. We're going to go ahead and clear that up because we no longer need that one. And we're just going to type in parenthesis x to the third minus 3x squared minus x plus 3. Close your parenthesis and then graph. Let's see, does it touch the x at all? Oh, yes, it does right there. And it actually touches it twice and 3 times. So it touches the x-axis at -1, 1, and 3. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to say, okay, so then my x-axis or x-intercept is going to be when y is at 0, is going to be a -1, 0, 1, 0, and 3, 0. So I'm going to draw this as well. So I'm going to come over here, -1, 1, and also 3. For your y-intercept, you're looking at when x equals 0, what is y equal to? So then looking at this, I'm just going to cross out the x's because those are going to be 0. And then end up with a 3 over -3, which is a -1. So that is when x is 0, y is at -1. So 0, -1 is right there. All right, so let's see what my graph is going to be. But I know that at those points, that's where my graph is going to hit. Okay. And then also have a vertical asymptote. So I'm going to go back to my calculator. And go back to y equals. And you're just going to move your little cursor to the very end. Hit the division button. Parenthesis x minus 3. Close your parenthesis and then graph. There it is, hitting that -1, going up to hit that +1. And it just goes further up. I wonder if it's going to move over to the right a little bit. So if you're like, I want to widen out my window, you can go to zoom and we can go down to 10, which is zoom fit. So you'll see the entire graph. And then hit graph. Okay, I guess maybe it won't go any further. If zoom fit doesn't work, you can always hit Windows and manually go down to X max, because right now it's at 5. We can make that to maybe 15 and then hit graph. Okay, it doesn't look like it's gonna go anywhere else. So that's it. So it's just gonna be a parabola shaped graph. So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go back here, new share. And we're just going to draw our graph so that it is going down this way and up. And if you look at it, it does not touch the 3 where the vertical asymptote is. Okay, and that's it. All right, you guys. So next I'm going to have you guys do, because we're done with this, is you have like the snowflake right there. So with your cell phones, I'm gonna have, or your iPads, I'm gonna have you guys go to this QR code, and you're gonna go ahead and ask yourself, what type of a student are you? It's just gonna be a really quick 10-question quiz. At the end, it asks you to submit your email, but it gives you a button that says skip. So skip it so you don't get spams for the rest of your life. And then when you're done, answer the following 3 questions on your snowflake or whatever else you got. And make sure your name's on it because I will be collecting that. All right, so for those of you guys who are completely done with this, if you still need to do this, that's totally fine. I'm gonna go back to it in a second. But if you are done with this, I'm gonna move on to your quizzes. So with your cell phone and your iPad, which you already have already, I'm gonna go to here. And you guys have about 14 minutes to complete it, which I think it's about like a minute a question, so it'll be fine, more than enough time. Or I'm sorry, 25 questions, so you probably have less than that. That's okay. So I'm gonna start the question. So just go to joinmyquiz.com, insert your code 642568, and then get started. Make sure you guys use your real name because I just basically take your score and that is it. So for those of you guys at home, go ahead and take a look at this right here. Make sure you guys insert your score or your code. And then when you guys are done with that, for your exit ticket today, it is going to be right over here on this QR code for week 5 Thursday. Or you can use the following link. It's a little long, I'm sorry, but you could do that, or you can use the QR code.